How did you respond when your ex wants to get back together? Viewer edition.
Story 1. Since someone else posted their platonic friend breakup here, I figure I might as well do the same. Dude was literally the only friend I had in middle school because I'm pretty sure middle school and hell are synonyms. Things were pretty great. We were total bros and I liked hanging around him. Then comes high school and I just don't feel the want to hang out with him as much. Looking back, it was a pretty toxic friendship, so maybe I was starting to realize that, but I just distanced myself from him more and more. It all came to a head when we got in a pretty bad argument on my birthday. Can't remember what it was about, just that I basically ended up kicking him out of my house. And I knew that it was probably over. Sure enough, a week passes by without us really saying much to each other, and he's the one to break it off. But his reasoning is weird, saying that we've been friends for too long. And he said, "I crap you not, maybe we can still be acquaintances." To this day, I still have no idea what he meant by that. Anywho, fast forward further into sophomore year, he comes up to me one day with an excited smile on his face and says hello. In my mind, I'm thinking, oh no, I see where this is going, and I want no part of it, so I just walk away without saying a word. He yells at me that I'm a F, as I do, and that pretty much cements it as final. The last thing he ever said to me was when he was talking to someone else, then made a not so passive-aggressive comment about me being an F, homophobic slur, again as I was walking by. I just rolled my eyes and didn't say anything. We didn't talk at all after that. The last I heard of him was when I had heard from some new friends that he had been abusing his ex-girlfriend, which, abusing your girlfriend is already pretty bad, but abusing your ex is just, she's already supposed to be out of your life. Just leave her alone already. It also sounded like he had gotten into drugs the last I had seen him. He ended up moving away before high school was finished, so I don't know what happened to him after that. It's been years since then. I genuinely hope he got his crap together and became a better person, but I doubt I'll ever see it. For as much as I like to refer to, high school friendships as, probationary lifetime friendships, because you're still figuring yourself out. Most of your high school friends you're not going to hang on to, and that's fine. A few, though, you might. They make it through the probationary period, but boy, middle school friendships, they're like double secret probation. Delta House. I feel like my references are off the rails. We better just move on. Story 2. I broke up with my very first boyfriend the school year before high school. He was distant, emotionally unavailable at every turn, and would destroy my stuff. For example, throwing my instrument case against the tree at our bus stop and damaging my instrument, bending my phone case, tearing up my music binder, etc. We had talked on and off maybe once a year until we graduated 2020. We were both depressed and upset that we weren't going to actually walk the stage and would only have a virtual graduation. We were respectful towards each other and watched each graduation. After that, he started sending me good morning snaps every morning. I would send some back and we would talk some days. We were talking to each other more in a week than we were in the last few years combined. We both went, separate dates and would talk to each other about how stupid they were afterwards. I was honestly happy to have my old friend back, completely forgetting how abusive and rude he was while we were dating. He came back into town, he moved away to Missouri freshman year due to his grandfather being sick, and he said he just wanted to hang out. We went to our usual hangout spot and he proceeded to try and sleep with me in the woods. I said absolutely not after everything he did to me when we were kids. He responded with, he doesn't remember anything before sophomore year, it's all kind of a blur, and he's sorry if it was bad. I then explained, in detail, everything he did in the 2 years of us dating. He said he was sorry, confessed his feelings for me, and that every girl he had dated he compared to me. I responded with, if you don't remember anything from before sophomore year, how do you remember me? He dropped the conversation and took me home. He is blocked on everything due to peeing off thoroughly. Sorry, I couldn't help but shudder a little bit knowing that I'm talking to an adult person who graduated in 2020, which is a full adult lifespan after I graduated. So theoretically, you're young enough that you could have been my kid. Oh God, no. I can't go down that road. I don't blame you. People who try and come back in and do that stuff, it does not ever feel genuine. You absolutely do not have to forgive this person or anything. I think you made the right call.
Story 3. During COVID, my ex-girlfriend, then girlfriend, called me asking me to choose between her and my male best friend. To clarify, I'm female. She introduced me to my male best friend 2 years prior to this. She was jealous of the relationship between us, and since I was her girlfriend, she made my life literal hell. She was abusive physically and mentally, and she cheated on me with another female friend of mine. So, for obvious reasons, I chose my male best friend. Then I chewed her out for making me choose. She tried to blame the question on her parents, claiming they made her ask about it. Over the phone, I broke up with her. About a month after I was out of home schooling and into regular school again, this being high school, she got my male friend expelled for supposedly assaulting her via groping her breast. She told me, and when she didn't get a reaction out of me, she went to her dad. Her dad complained to the school, and he got expelled. Multiple times a week, she would try to ask me out again, only for me to reject her. She would cry and threaten to commit self-termination. Honestly, I didn't care. After another month, I got together with my male best friend. We still had each other's numbers and texted each other at the time. We became a long-distance couple over text. Once she figured that out, she went ballistic on me and spammed my phone with texts. That's when I blocked and deleted her phone number and her parents' phone numbers. I hated doing that because we had some amazing role plays. However, I couldn't bear seeing all that crap she sent. She would bully me at school and talk to me nonstop during the transition through classes. Finally, I told her to stop talking to me. She didn't, but it made me feel better to say something about it. The highlight of this story? My boyfriend got his GED and is going to college to become an accountant. Plus, we are still strongly together 2 years and 10 months after this happened. Story 4. Mine actually happened last Friday, LOL. So basically, to sum it up, the guy and I had been in an on and off relationship since 2019. It started great, but over time became emotionally abusive. He would sometimes leave me because his friends said so, or he would just drop out because he was bored or fancied someone else. He would cry to me about his intrusive thoughts, aka his romantic or intimate thoughts about others. He tried fixing the relationship by trying to force me into moving away faster than I was ready for, and then acting depressed when I wasn't extremely willing. The final straw was when he threatened to self-terminate when he left me for his ex, got rejected, and then I refused to take him back. He had threatened stuff like that before, so I rejected him. He went radio silent, refusing to answer my texts or calls or anything, leading me to believe he actually did it. So, racked with guilt and shock because I thought I caused that, I tried to off myself with pills. The jerk finally answered when I texted him goodbye and said, "See you soon." I nearly lost my life because of him, so of course I left. This was September 9th, 2022. So, fast forward to last Friday, January 13th, 2023, I got a random message from one of his friends saying he wanted to talk. Some of his friends are super nice, and this was one of them, so I answered out of pity. I agreed to talk with him, unblocked him, and it started all over again. The emotional manipulation and stuff, saying he missed me and basically ruined his life over me, etc. To be fair, he did start some stuff, drinking a lot or smoking and taking drugs, etc., but still, putting the blame on me was uncalled for. He tried asking for me back even knowing I'm in a 2-month relationship now. I rejected him, and the contact lasted all of 2 days before I blocked him again. Never gonna look back this time. I'm happy now.
Hey, good for you for putting your happiness first. People like this who are just crappy to you and will try to come back, whatever, months, years, whatever later, and just be like, oh, I just want to talk, I'm just, it's whatever, things are better now. I've learned, I've grown. And immediately you can see the hints of their old ways. I can't blame anyone for not giving those people even a bit of a chance, because you can't ignore red flags like that, especially when they're such familiar red flags. You don't have to put yourself at risk for these people.
Story 5. My last phone conversation with an ex was December 4th, 2012. In 2018, she tracked me down on Facebook just to tell me she didn't want to be in contact. That shows her mental capacity, and the drama plus arguments were immense. Her relationships never last longer than a month, because after 2 weeks, she starts sabotaging their relationship with malicious arguments for no reason. Upon reflection, she demonstrates some rather high-level narcissistic traits and claims to be the victim of everything in life when she doesn't get her way. Even her 2 daughters had to kick her out because she refused to work and support herself. Meanwhile, they have their own kids to look after as well. She burned all her friends as well, to the point she had to move cities to find more people to use and abuse. Couldn't even have a stimulating conversation with her due to her lack of intelligence. For a woman in her 40s during an over relationship, she was mentally like a child and would stamp her feet, screaming with clenched fists if you didn't back out of an argument by letting her get her way. Expected everyone else to conform to her way, what is supposed to be a life. I'm still in contact with both her daughters, and they can't even handle a phone conversation with her. Story 6. Not technically an ex, but had a few times in college where a potential relationship died after I'd expressed interest because they decided to start seeing someone else instead. So we were never actually dating, but it still sucks to find out that you were essentially getting compared with someone else as a possible partner and came up short. One of them messaged me about a year later apologizing for not handling it better and essentially stringing me along for a few weeks and trying to start up a conversation. I don't know why, but I was getting a feeling that they might be hoping that I was still interested. I thanked them for the apology, wished them well, and noped right out of that convo. I'm glad they recognized that it was a somewhat crappy way to handle that situation, but I have no interest in starting on a relationship with the emotional baggage of feeling like I'm some sort of consolation prize. Story 7. Here's a positive story for you guys. When we dated the first time, we were both broken teens from abusive families. We tried to make it work, but we were both too damaged, and she eventually called it off. I didn't hear from her for almost 20 years when she suddenly wrote me an email. I thought I'd never hear from her again, and of all the relationships I had, the one with her was the only one that ended amicably. Long story short, we immediately reconnected, are both much more mentally stable now, and have lived together for 2 years. Marriage might be on the table for both of us.
Yeah, no, after some of these stories, thank you so much for sharing such a nice positive one, and a good lesson for folks to learn. Sometimes it really isn't the right time and place for a relationship. Sometimes you both do need to work, you need time apart, and granted, apparently this was 20 years, which seems like a lot, and a lot of folks might be like, that's too long. But let me tell you, after the 20 years, when it actually does work out, it wasn't too long. It was worth it. So yeah, so just, if you got a gut feeling about it not being right, I'm not saying definitely cut things off, but I'm saying consider that it might be for the best.
Story 8. I was the one who called back. She broke up with me in October because I was still psychologically fragile from a previous abusive relationship and went straight to therapy when she left me. My grandfather died a few months later in February, and it destroyed me that he never saw me truly happy like I was when I was with her. We matched on another dating app in April, and I told her the truth. I'd been in therapy since we broke up, wasn't ready for a relationship, but enjoyed all the time we had spent together. We met for lunch by her office and took things slow. We've been married almost 4 years now, have a home in the suburbs with a dog, cat, and 2-year-old daughter. Story 9. My ex left me at the lowest point of my life and started dating another dude. Got my crap together, moved on, landed a new job, bought a house. Life was good. A few years later, she got dumped by said dude, and after asking around and finding out I was doing great, she did her utmost to get back to me, to the point of stalking me. I simply told her to get the F out. I didn't need her when I was at my worst. I certainly didn't need her now that I'm at my best. Last I heard, she's been constantly jumping from failed relationship to failed relationship. I'm still single and okay. Better off being a lone wolf than sharing my life with a leech. Story 10. My ex broke up with me because I was 19 and he was 26, and he realized we were at different places in our life. We stayed friends, and eventually I got into a relationship with the father of my oldest son. He was very controlling and had anger issues, so I ended up reaching back out to my ex when my son was 2 months old and told him what was going on. He helped me get out of that situation, and we got back together. The day before the 5th anniversary of our breakup, our daughter was born. It was surreal seeing that Facebook status pop up in my memories while tending to our newborn. We are married now with 2 kids plus my oldest son and doing great.
Another story that just shows how sometimes it's not the right time and place, and especially that age difference as you get older means less and less, but in your late teens and early 20s, a 6-7 year gap, that means a lot at those times, especially for you, the 19-year-old, because you're still really figuring yourself out. And it's tough to tie yourself to someone who's at more of an age where they really probably have figured themselves out. So it's a pretty unequal pairing. And so an age difference like that during that time of your life, not great. Probably for the best you avoided it. And now that you know you're both older and mature, sounds like things are working out great, and I couldn't be happier for you.
Story 11. I was 25, she was 31, and cheated on me with a 16-year-old psychopath. Not joking, I was a coordinator at a circus school, and I knew from this boy's mother that he was antisocial personality disorder. Almost 5 years later, she looked for me on Instagram and tried to start a conversation congratulating me for my nice new job that she got to know. I said I didn't even want congratulations from her. Said for her to die and never look for me again or anything, and blocked her. Yes, I'm not a forgiving person, saying that felt good. Edit. Yes, she had trouble with the police for pedophilia. The boy's mother made the report. Story 12. My ex came back after 10 months of no contact, knocked on my door in another city, and expected me to let him in. I said we could talk at the door. He started, at first I was only blaming myself, at which point I blew up on him, spewing 4 years of frustration over his toxic behavior. I don't remember it all, but my roommates were standing around the corner, mouths agape. I finished with, and if you have issues, go to therapy, don't come to me. He cried, LOL. Story 13. I told her I would get back with her if she could prove to me that she was capable of being a responsible adult. It was a foolproof plan to make sure we couldn't get back together. Please leave your story in the comments. I would love to make a video on them in the future. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe.